You're strolling down a dangerous street right here, but it's great to see you here. I'm Detective Obscura, and my job is to piece together the broken realities others leave behind.
Talk if you're asked to talk.
We'll be touching on the 8 passengers saga, looking at the brutal realities of the case in detail. Was it just strict parenting that went awry? Or was there something more sinister happening in that Utah home? If you've been navigating the labyrinth of YouTube for any length of time, chances are you've crossed paths with Ruby Franke. She wasn't just another vlogger. She was the architect of a seemingly perfect family narrative, the face of 8 passengers. By 2022, this channel had exploded, amassing a staggering 2.3 million subscribers. Millions tuned in, drawn to the promise of a glimpse into the Franke family dynamic. Ruby presented herself as the matriarch, a mother of 6 who navigated the challenges of raising a large family, but her approach to parenting captivated viewers more than the sheer number of children. Ruby showcased a style that she often characterized as strict, but loving. This no-nonsense approach resonated with many seeking guidance in the chaotic world of child-rearing.
It means that you can't have your phone for the summer.
But beneath the veneer of wholesome family content, something unsettling was brewing. As 8 passengers gained momentum, so did the controversies. These weren't just minor disagreements about screen time or bedtime routines. The so-called strict parenting started to raise eyebrows and trigger alarm bells. As frenzied by the media, these forms of punishment go above and beyond. Did she ever force her son to sleep on a beanbag for months as punishment?
You've been sleeping on a beanbag.
I've been sleeping on a beanbag since October, and they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago.
Or deny her children food for extended periods, justifying it as a form of discipline?
I'm only gonna say it one more time, and then you're gonna lose the privilege to eat dinner.
These weren't isolated incidents. They were recurring themes, patterns of behavior that sparked outrage and ignited fierce debates in the comment sections and beyond. The viewers have started to notice that the children are also becoming or showing that they are emotionally distressed. Then, Jody Hildebrandt entered her life, the self-proclaimed family therapist and owner of Connaissions. In 2022, Ruby began collaborating with her, intertwining her family vlogging with Hildebrandt's self-improvement program. This collaboration marked a turning point, a shift towards even more extreme disciplinary methods. Connaissions advocated for rigid obedience, demanding absolute compliance from children, and promoting a philosophy that sent chills down the spines of concerned viewers and even members of the Franke family. Hildebrandt's teachings centered around a warped sense of truth, where children's defiance was seen as a sign of inherent evil, requiring harsh correction. She actively coached Ruby, providing her with the ideological framework to justify increasingly cruel punishments. But it wasn't just about controversial methods. The gradual escalation from questionable parenting tactics to outright abuse was becoming increasingly apparent. Franke's actions, often orchestrated in tandem with Hildebrandt's teachings, transcended the realm of strict discipline and plunged into something far more sinister.
I'm going to take the scissors, look at me, and I'm gonna cut its head off.
Evidence suggests that Hildebrandt wasn't merely a passive advisor. She actively directed and encouraged Ruby's abusive behavior, often communicating through coded language and manipulating Ruby's vulnerabilities to gain control. The world that Ruby was showcasing has now turned into a nightmare. Those carefully constructed facades shattered irrevocably on August 30th, 2023. A 12-year-old boy, emaciated and bearing horrific injuries, sunburnt skin with open wounds and signs of malnutrition, managed to slip through a window of Jody Hildebrandt's home. He wasn't just seeking escape. He was desperately seeking help. Stumbling through the neighborhood, he approached the 3rd house he could find, finally finding a neighbor willing to listen to his desperate pleas for food, water, and a way to reach the police. This brave act would ultimately expose the horrors that had been hidden for so long.
He said he just came from a neighbor's house, and we know there's been problems at this neighbor's house. He's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry, and he's thirsty.
The authorities were immediately alerted. When they arrived at Hildebrandt's residence, they discovered an even more disturbing scene. A 9-year-old girl, the boy's sister, was found hidden inside a closet. She was described as terrified and alone, her head shaved, further emphasizing the control and degradation she had endured. Both children were immediately taken into protective custody and rushed to the hospital. Their bodies were a canvas of abuse, evidence of starvation, dehydration, and physical trauma that spoke volumes about the unimaginable suffering they had been subjected to. Franke and Hildebrandt were arrested and charged with 6 counts of felony aggravated child abuse. The severity of the situation demanded immediate action. As the legal proceedings unfolded between September of 2023 and February of 2024, the evidence continued to paint a horrifying picture, revealing a systematic pattern of torture and psychological manipulation that had been carefully concealed beneath the surface of their seemingly normal lives. In December of 2023, both Franke and Hildebrandt pleaded guilty to 4 counts of aggravated child abuse.
Ms. Franke, how do you plead to count 1, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
With my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and my children, guilty.
This admission of guilt led to their sentencing in February of 2024, where they each received 4 consecutive prison terms of 1 to 15 years. The weight of their crimes was undeniable, a stark contrast to the curated online persona that had once captivated millions. It was a moment of reckoning, a stark reminder that what we see on the internet is not always the truth, and that darkness can often hide behind even the most carefully constructed facades. Let's peel back the layers of this horrific case. From May to August 2023, Ruby Franke subjected 2 of her children to unimaginable abuse. Her son was forced to perform grueling physical tasks in hazardous conditions, often without shoes, resulting in severe sunburns. He was denied food and water and punished for drinking without permission, and his wrists and ankles were bound with ropes and handcuffs, causing tissue damage. Even the treatment of his wounds was twisted into another form of torment, with cayenne pepper and honey applied, before being covered with duct tape. One of Franke's daughters was subjected to similar mistreatment, forced to work barefoot outside with inadequate food and water. Both children were repeatedly told they were evil and possessed, their spirits broken, and their sense of self eroded. It's chilling to think of how a mother could inflict such suffering on her own children. The investigation brought forth damning evidence: handcuffs, ropes, Franke's journal detailing the abuse, and a mixture of cayenne pepper and honey in a safe room. The children recounted being forced to stand in the hot sun, tied to weights, made to jump on a trampoline all day, driven into the desert, and forced to run. The details are gruesome, painting a vivid picture of the torture they endured. The charges against Franke included horrific details from her plea agreement. She admitted to kicking her son, holding his head underwater, and covering his mouth and nose to prevent him from breathing. It's a chilling reminder of the depths of her cruelty. The case has had a profound impact on the Franke family and the public. Franke's estranged husband, Kevin, initially struggled to believe the charges, but later sought custody of the children. The 2 eldest Franke children, Sherry and Chad, attended the sentencing with their father. This case has raised questions about the potential dangers of family vlogging and the hidden realities behind curated online personas. In the wake of the revelations, the psychological scars left on the children are undeniable. According to documents filed by Kevin Franke's attorney, the children have undergone medical care and psychological assessments and are receiving ongoing mental health treatment. This is in an attempt to assist them in comprehending and recovering from the injuries they sustained. It's clear that they suffered immediate and continuing irreparable harm as a result of the crimes perpetrated upon them by Franke and Hildebrandt. The document states that the children have been subjected to aggravated psychological and emotional injuries, necessitating professional care. Their journey to recovery will be long and arduous, marked by the need to heal from the deep wounds inflicted upon them. Delving deeper into the psychological aspects of this case, Dr. G, a body language expert, analyzed Ruby Franke's journal entries following her guilty plea. The analysis focused on segments of her writing, And Dr. G emphasized that it was not a psychological evaluation, but rather her opinion as a body language expert. One of the primary observations was Ruby Franke's lack of compassion in her writings about her children. It is noted that the emphasis on cruelty, hatred, and anger are dominant themes. Many entries revolved around Franke's need for power and control over her children, highlighting instances such as Franke's insistence on specifying harsh punishments for her children, like requiring wall sits or making them sleep outside. Pointing out Franke's focus on control and punishment for disobedience, as seen in the entry about shaving her child's hair off. To put it simply, Franke seemed infuriated by her children's lack of control, viewing it as a personal affront. It should also be noted how Franke attributed the child's struggles with incontinence to satanic choices, rather than showing compassion or seeking help. This suggests that Franke viewed her children's behavior as a result of their selfish, sinful lifestyle. According to Dr. G, Franke's demand for 100% obedience, with exactness, suggests delusional and deranged beliefs. She appears to genuinely believe her son is evil due to his lack of obedience. This raises the possibility of Franke projecting her own feelings onto her son, fueled by her frustration when she can't get what she wants. The term fasting was also used by Franke to mask the starvation and dehydration of her children, further highlighting her twisted perception of reality. Identifying a dangerous shift in logic, Franke attributed her son's behavior to being in and out of possession. This was used to avoid owning any reaction that he had and to maintain control. However, Dr. G has distinguished Franke's state from psychosis, arguing that while her beliefs are strange, she is still functional, and her primary emotion is anger, not fear. Franke's actions became increasingly alarming and dangerous, with instances such as pouring old mop water on her son, pushing him into the sun, and poking him with a cactus poker. The near suffocation incident, where Franke covered her son's nose and mouth, was rationalized as putting oxygen on him to help him breathe, revealing a disturbing level of awareness of the abuse she was inflicting. Dr. G drew parallels to the Lori Vallow case, where children were deemed evil or possessed, justifying their deaths, characterizes Franke's attempts to legitimize her abuse as typical gaslighting, fueled by hatred rather than a complete detachment from reality. Ultimately, it was concluded that Franke was aware that her behavior was abusive. It's clear from these analyses that the children will need intensive help for a long time. Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt are now serving their sentences, but the echoes of their actions will continue to haunt those children for the rest of their lives. Can they ever truly heal from the physical and emotional wounds they've endured? And what responsibility do we, as a society, have to prevent similar tragedies from happening again? The Franke case is a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath even the most polished online personas. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about the pressures of social media, the dangers of unchecked power, and the fragility of the human mind. What do you think fueled this descent into madness? Was it the influence of Jody Hildebrandt, the pressures of online fame, or something else entirely?
Weren't you afraid of the police coming to our house?
That's all for tonight. If you found this exploration insightful, please like it, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more in-depth investigations into the mysteries that shape our world. Remember, awareness is our greatest weapon against the darkness. Stay curious. Stay safe.